Glover's got the to handle any challenge. Glover for Nintendo 64 and PC CD-ROM. Gotta love the glove.
Sup? So I live in California. If you didn't know already, it's pretty hot here. That means no snow gloves or anything of that sort. You'll be hard-pressed to find any use for gloves that aren't of the boxing variety. I gotta fulfill my glove fantasy somewhere. And gosh, do I have a lot of those to fulfill. But what's this? Glover? Oh my god. Where's this been my entire life? But he would never have a ball, would he? Dude! That's right, baby. Today we're talking about Glover. A game so awesome, they sponsored the WWF.
Appropriately named Rock Bottom is presented by Glover. New Nintendo 64. Gotta love the glove.
I don't know how those two are related, but it happened. Glover is a weird little game. Everyone knows of its existence, but no one has ever played it. And I don't blame anyone for not playing it. It's a weird game. You play as a sentient glove rolling a ball to the end of a level. Even a worm will turn at that tomfoolery. And as a wriggly little worm, I turned. Quite a bit, in fact. I've played this game 10 times. I'm gonna keep it real with you. The original premise of this video was to play the 3 major versions of the game. PS1, N64, and PC. But after playing those once, I had the itch to do it again. And again, and again, and so on. And I ended up playing the game too much. I am probably in the top percentile that's played this game twice, let alone 10 times. I personally think I'm an authority able to speak the most about Glover. I think everyone should value my opinion. I am the king of Glover. Sorry, I was a bit overenthusiastic. I'm still a bit bonkers after the Glover incident. So what is Glover? Or who is Glover? Let's get into the Glover lore. So a local wizard is brewing his potion with 2 sentient gloves. He messes up the potion, which turns him into stone. His gloves fly off his hands, and one falls into the potion, creating the evil cross stitch. And the other is Glover or something, I don't know. And yep, that's it. There's only 2 cutscenes. Technically 3 in the N64 and PC ports. It's Glover. What were you expecting? Glover's a little guy whose main goal is to get the ball to the end of each stage, and turn said ball into a crystal to unstone the wizard. The ball, I think, single-handedly makes this one of the most creative platformers I've ever seen. Having to traverse each stage while holding a ball is really interesting. Having to dribble the ball to jump and transforming it to complete different puzzles and obstacles makes this one of the most unique platformers. Although dribbling the ball makes it hard to make some jumps. I didn't get it down until my second playthrough, and even then it got in the way sometimes. So what if you wanted to lose the ball? First, I think you wouldn't be able to have kids again, but in terms of Glover, you can move around completely on foot. Or finger, I guess. While on finger, you move more precisely, jump higher, have a better time. You can also slam your fist into the ball to boost yourself into the air. Being without your ball is cool and all, but you have to bring the ball with you, so it's only really used for puzzle solving sections and some more intensive platforming sections. Let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, the bosses suck. Well, it's mostly just one, but one bad slice ruins the entire loaf, as I think the saying goes. Most of the bosses are alright, either a little too easy or just feel like filler, but one is so atrocious across every version. Frankenstein's monster over here is one of the worst boss fights I've ever had to endure in any video game. And I had to beat him 10 times. You have to stomp on copper steps to make it so you can climb up them, but the boss is charging up the lightning to make it so you can't step on one of them. That part isn't bad, but if your ball is in a certain radius, it will get popped. And by radius, I basically mean if it's on the ground. You can bring your ball into one of the steps, but the bosses can just kick it off. I'm currently on an antibiotic to cure my ulcer, so I should probably move on. Alright, I think that's everything I'm going to go over that applies to every version. Now I'm going to go over my first 3 playthroughs more intensely, talking about how each version differs. Let's do this. In order I played them in, starting with the Right out of the gate, we're treated to a full FMV intro cinematic, something not seen in the N64 version. This is because the PS1 using CDs instead of cartridges allows for more space on the disc to fit something like an FMV intro. And on that same topic, the PS1 version is by far the best looking one in my personal opinion. Love the N64 to death, but I don't think any developer made a good looking N64 game. The PS1 version is what I'd imagine the game was supposed to look like if I had only seen the N64 version. One thing that does really suck is the lack of depth perception caused by the renderer. It's really hard to gauge some jumps, and it caused me to play a lot more safely than I would on the N64 version. Also, the controls in this version really surprised me. It's the best out of any PS1 game I've ever played. You have a sense of momentum, so when you make a jump, you can switch to your left and right D-pad buttons for easy control. It also has the best controls outside of platforming, taking advantage of the PS1 controller's extra buttons. Throwing and slapping the ball are their own buttons, and fist slamming is a button combination. As someone who isn't a huge fan of the PS1's control scheme, I was incredibly impressed. In terms of level design, this is also the best in that field. This might be the best version. In most levels, some annoying parts are less annoying in this version, and it makes sense. This version was released nearly a full year after the N64 version, so they could refine some bits they weren't a fan of. Doesn't stop this version from being glitchy as hell though. Yeah, Glover's quite broken. All versions. Some are better than others, but all have their own little quirks that differentiate them heavily. In this playthrough, in the third world boss, I just flung out into the air. And fell into the void. I'm pretty sure I also clipped through the map at some point, but I forgot to document where, and it's a lot of footage to sift through. About 4 to 5 hours, give or take. This was my longest playthrough, but expect them to get shorter as we go on. I'll mention it when it's notable. Okay, so that's the PlayStation version done. Overall, I really enjoyed the experience. Let's see how the other versions compare against this one. Alrighty, the N64 version. First to come out, and the one that the PC port is based off of. Let's start with what we talked about in the first section. In this version, all the cutscenes are made in-engine instead of pre-rendered like in the PlayStation version. There's another full cutscene not present in the PlayStation version also. The reason why it's there actually is because there's another phase to the final boss. I think this is one of the few reasons why you would play the N64 version over the PS1 version, but emphasis on few things. This version is so much uglier than the other version. All the textures are super low quality, and the N64 Glover just looks wrong. And this version controls much worse. Your fist slam is its own button, but I guess they didn't want that button to only be used by the fist slam, so they made two more mechanics. One is used once, and the other is never used. Like, why even bother? And stuff like throwing the ball is done by holding down the jump buttons. Like, this can be annoying if you're platforming and accidentally hold down the jump button, because this kills all of your momentum. I know the bad controls could be a side effect of the bad controller, but there must have been a better way to do it. Also, in this version, the boss I mentioned earlier is the worst form of it. Instead of having steps being together, they are segmented, so you have to throw your balls onto different steps. That's not even the most annoying part. When you actually beat the boss, it barrages you with flashing lights. And the entire world is kind of bad with this. Not in the epileptic seizure way like the boss, but in normal stages it will flash black and white, which caused me to miss some jumps because it completely blocks your vision. And for the notes about this specific playthrough, I clipped through this staircase.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy Rawk, and I love the glove! But I wish I could play Glover more easily while I'm procrastinating. You're telling me I can play Glover on my computer? Yes! Glover for $20? High quality entertainment for such a moderate price. Oh, you're telling me it's just the Nintendo 64 version but worse? No! I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this port is rancid. The only good feature added here is the 16:9 aspect ratio, but that's at the cost of your soul. One thing this version does better is overshadowed by everything else that's done worse. The sound is bad. The reverb that was supposed to be there is now missing, leaving scenes feeling empty and causing me to be alone with my thoughts. That's not even the only thing missing. Some textures are replaced and some are just gone. One of the most egregious examples is in the final boss where targets you have to shoot don't even appear. That's the entire point! This cutscene doesn't work! This minigame is broken! I'm still getting seizures from this boss! There is!
Hey, what's all that racket? What are you doing here?
Well,
I was just in the other room making a sandwich. This isn't even my script.
But I love the glove.
Have you even played Glover? Well, I guess that's that. How about we look over the other 7 playthroughs? Run 4 was my fastest run at the time, going around 2 hours and 10 minutes. Exact time will probably be on screen if I'm not being lazy. Also, I got my ball stuck. I had to fall out the stage to respond back with it. Don't know what the odds are, but I thought it was pretty funny. Run 5 was quite slow in comparison. I got stuck a lot in the 4th world. Man, I have a lot to say about World 4, god damn. But I ended up with around 2 hours and 40 minutes. What's weird though is that at some point I got 250 lives. I'm not even sure how that happens. Run 6 was pretty good. My first sub 2 hour run. Also I noticed the treadmills in the PC version move the opposite direction that they go in, despite no texture change. Run 7 had no glitches. Shocker, I know. But one thing I noted is that the PS1 version does not let you going fast. They removed a bunch of moving objects from this version because the physics can't handle it. The ones that are there just fling you around if you try to approach them with any sort of speed. That makes it so this version is hard to speed run. And plus there's a better version right there, so why not just go to that? Run 8. I clipped through the map a lot. This game has a real problem with this. You clip frequently through geometry, and for a game based on a life system, it's really annoying to have to restart a level because you fell through a platform. Also, on this run, I learned that the texture for the crab in the first boss is the same as the lobster enemy. How do I know this? A glitch, of course. Almost there. On run 9, in the second world, I restarted the run, and that paid off because I got my best score of all time with a 1 hour and 35 minute run. For my last run, I wanted to go for a full 100% run. It would make a nice cap to everything and bring everything full circle by truly beating the PS1 version. It's honestly my favorite playthrough, because it was just relaxing. I got to take it slow, and I learned a bunch of secrets hidden within the levels. And I also found that you can earn health by getting all the collectibles in a level. This funny little dynamite guy isn't present in the PS1 version, I noticed. He's a little annoying, but he's not my first pick for an annoying enemy to remove. That title goes to this funny little character. Okay, so technically, I didn't actually beat Glover 10 times. And don't worry, it's for a good reason. On my last playthrough, I got full-on soft locked. The final world's door didn't open. And I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea where it happened. I don't want to go through the game again if there's a chance that the same thing will happen. So I've technically beat Glover only 9 times, but I've replayed huge parts of the game before, so it all adds up to around the same time spent anyways. If you're mad about this, woo! That's it. I never have to play Glover again. I'm gonna be honest, Glover's one of those comfort games that I'll probably return to in the future. Not anytime soon, of course, but eventually. Glover had one last hurrah in the form of Glover 2. Oh wait, no it didn't. Alright, time to wind down a bit. Deglove, if you will. Is deglove an actual word?
My favorite hobby is mass genocide.